Good morning, students. Welcome to my online class. And this is the first time that I am addressing to you. Perhaps you don't know me, but I know all of you. Actually, I need to introduce myself. I am Prashant Kumar Tripathi, Department of English, Jhadeshwar College, Jhadeshwar Plus 2 Science College, Baleshwar. And in fact, I miss you all. And I know you also are missing a lot. You don't know what you are missing, but I know what I am missing. I know what I am missing. What I am missing, I am missing your physical presence in the class. Direct interaction is not possible because a teacher can teach in a better way if he can watch the faces of the students. Because all the teachings, whether it is being received by the students or not, it can well be known by observing their face. The face will start beaming up if any new fact has entered into the brain. And the face will be dull, that means the facial expression will suggest whether what the teacher has taught, whether the student could understand or not. Whether the student understood it or not, only by observing the face, a seasoned teacher can know. I am missing this. I am missing the direct interaction. I am missing your physical presence in the classroom, so that I cannot know whether what I will teach now or what I am teaching, whether it reaches at you or not. There is no way I can know. And what you are missing? You are missing the direct company of the teachers. You are missing the great atmosphere of this college. You are missing the building. You are missing the affection of the teacher. You are missing the guidance of the teachers. You are missing the great hostel that we are providing. You are missing the rooms where you are to accommodate yourselves. You are missing the hostel. You are missing the canteen. You are missing the guidance and caring of superintendents. You are missing a lot. You are missing the gardens of our college. You are missing the serenity of our ambience that has been provided to you by our college. This college is a great college. What more I would say. Whenever you will come, you will definitely come. When you come, you will realize what really I want to tell you, and you can then realize what you are really missing sitting in your rooms. It's okay. Let me start. So I am to teach you parts of speech today. I am to teach you parts of speech. What is parts of speech? Parts of speech are the words that occur in a sentence. What are the parts of speech I will discuss now? Don't think that in each sentence all the parts of speech will occur. But what the words are there in a sentence, whether it is a short sentence or a long sentence, whether it is a small sentence or an elaborate sentence. But all the words that occur in a sentence belong to either of these parts or all of these parts. So don't think that what the parts of speech I will teach you now. Don't think that all these parts of speech should definitely be there in each sentence. But some of them should be there. That means of all the words that are there in a sentence, they belong to either of these parts of speech. Actually, parts of speech are 18 number, and what more I will say. Parts of speech has already been taught to you in high school level, in minor school level, in UP school level, I dare say. Definitely you have a lot more knowledge about parts of speech, but I will definitely try to make my class interesting. You pay your focus, you pay your attention to me, never get distracted from the video. Watch the video till the last, then definitely you will discover that some new facts are there with you. Perhaps you have learned some new facts. So now let me start with parts of speech are 18 number. One is noun. Next one is pronoun. First, let me write all the 8 parts of speech, then I will discuss each one separately. First one is noun, second one is pronoun, third one is verb, fourth one is adjective, fifth one is adverb, sixth one is preposition, seventh one is conjunction. I don't know whether the lower part is visible to you or not. That's why I am writing the 8th part here. interjection. So 8 parts of speech are noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, conjunction and interjection. So let me clean the blackboard now, because now we have to discuss about noun and more time we cannot waste. So I hope you are writing everything in your copy in the process of listening to me, even though you know all these things. So now we will start noun. What is noun? Naming words are called nouns. Naming words are called nouns. What do you mean by naming words? Naming words means, you know, suppose this is something and we call it by a name, duster. So duster is the word that is assigned to you, assigned to it to call it. So it has been called by the name duster. So duster is a naming word, so it is a noun. Suppose this is something, or what it is here, it is smaller one, this is longer one. This is something and we call it by the name chalk. So a piece of chalk, it is also noun. This is something and we call it bottle, it is also noun. This is something and we call it by the name cloth, it is also noun. This is something and we call it by the name book, so book is also a noun. A person now is addressing you and this person is called by a name, you call such type of persons by the name teacher, so teacher is a noun. You all who are listening to me, you are also called by a name, that is student, it is also a noun. Table is a noun, blackboard is a noun. This letter is also a noun. This hair is a noun, this nose is noun, eye is noun, mouth is noun, teeth is noun, tongue is noun, my face is noun, my hand is noun, fingers are also noun, the pen is noun. So whatever you are naming or whatever you are calling a thing or a person or anything, this is noun. So in Honda method, close your eyes, open it, whatever you see, this is noun. So all the things that are there in your surroundings, it is a noun. And the funny thing is that a noun comes from a noun eats a noun, and a noun releases a noun. How? You suppose the soul, it is a noun. You came from father is also noun. You came from mother is also noun. And what you eat, rice, dal, etc., this is noun. And what you excrete in the toilet, that is also noun, stool or urine. So all such things are nouns. So noun is a naming word. And now we have to discuss the types of nouns. What are the different types of nouns? And the nouns are of different types. What? One is common noun. I will discuss each one. First one is common noun. Second one is proper noun. Third one is collective noun. Fourth one is why I am writing giving gaps, because with this I will again give you the definitions. Collective nouns. Fourth one is common noun, proper noun, collective noun, material noun. And fifth one is abstract noun. So what is so? Common noun, proper noun, collective noun, material noun and abstract noun. These are the different types of nouns. Let me discuss one by one. What is a common noun? Common noun, check here. In English, actually the best part of English is that the very name suggests its cadre, the very name suggests its definition, the very name defines itself. How? Common noun. Noun means naming word, common means commonly given. That is, if a name is commonly given to one and all of their kind, it is a common noun. What does it mean? Suppose this is a piece of chalk and it is also a broken piece of chalk. So chalk is the name assigned to one and all of such kind. This is called duster. This is also called a duster. So duster is the name commonly given to any of such kind. A person who is teaching now is a teacher, and anyone who teaches you is a teacher. So teacher is the name commonly given to one and all of such type. That is, whoever will teach you, that is a teacher. You are a student and all of you are also students. So student is the name commonly given to all the boys who are learning or who are listening to their teachers or who are sitting in the classroom to learn. So it is a book. It is a book, and any such thing is also called a book. So book is the name commonly given to one and all of this kind or of this type. This is a bottle, and bottle is a name not given particularly to it, but this name bottle has been given to one and all of such kind. Anything that looks like this or has the function like this, it is called bottle. This is the blackboard or green board. What you say, it is really the green board. This is the green board, and many green boards are there. So green board is the word, or the board is the name commonly given to any such structure. So it is a common noun. Fan. Suppose it is something, it is not moving now because it will make some noise so that my voice will not be audible. So suppose this is a fan, and in your house also, if any such electrical appliance is there, or in your papa's room, or in your uncle's house, or in your neighbors, if any such electrical appliance is there moving over and giving you some air, it is also fan. So fan is a name commonly given to one and all such type of electrical appliance. It is fan. So common name. So common noun is fan, chair, table, box, board, teacher, student, papa, mama, chair, stool, duster, door, almirah. All such things are common names because these names have been given to one and all such of things commonly. That's why they are called common nouns. So if you are interested to write the definition, I may write it here. So common noun means a name commonly given to one and all of such things. All such things. Example, I am giving you one thing, telling you if you are writing example, never write ex or ex because it suggests to the previous one. Write e dot g, it is exempli gratia. Exempli gratia is the Latin notation meaning for example. So write eg. So what are the examples of common noun? Boy, girl, teacher, student, etc. You may write a few more. Good morning, student. So now common noun I think we have discussed. Then now we will come to proper noun. What is a proper noun? Check again what I told you. The very name defines itself. Proper noun. Proper means that says itself. That means it is particularly given to what? That means the noun means name. The name given particularly to anything or a person or any such thing is proper noun. That is particular thing or particular name. How? Suppose check here. Whoever will teach you, he is a teacher. I am a teacher. Many of you teachers are there. You know them. So who teaches you is a teacher, but my name suppose is Prashant Tripathi sir. Prashant Tripathi sir, do you think whoever will teach you, he is named by Prashant Tripathi sir? No. So Prashant Tripathi, this is a name particularly or properly given to a particular teacher. That's why it is a proper noun. Similarly, suppose father. Father is a common noun because whoever is the papa of a boy, he is father or papa. So papa is a name or father is a name commonly given to any such person who is the parent of one child or more children. But what is your papa's name? Suppose Vivekananda. Vivekananda is the name of one student's papa. Then Vivekananda Babu is Vivekananda. This is the particular name given to a particular person. So Vivekananda is a proper noun. Similarly, suppose Sita or Mita or Gita. A girl is a common noun, but Sita is a proper noun. Why? Girl means any feminine gender. A child, if belongs to feminine gender, it is a girl. So girl is a common noun, but Sita is a proper noun because Sita is a name but given to a proper or to a particular girl. That's why it is proper noun. Suppose woman or lady. Woman or lady, it is woman or lady, it is woman or lady, it is a common name. That's why common noun. But suppose Maheshwata Devi, or suppose Hira Devi, or suppose Rasmita, all such names are given to a particular lady. That's why these names are proper nouns. So you may write the definition. A name given to a particular person, thing, etc. So a name given to a particular person or thing, etc. is proper noun, and its example is Sita. Suppose Baleswar, because you know town is a common name, but Baleswar is a proper name. Suppose Ramesh. All such words are the proper nouns. And remember, proper nouns should always be initiated with a capital letter, irrespective of its occurrence in the sentence. May it be at the beginning of the sentence, the middle of the sentence, or the end of the sentence. Proper nouns should always be started with a capital letter. Things are clear? Balaswar, Rama, Ramesh, Harishchandra, Vivekananda, all such names should always be started with a capital letter. Whether it is at the beginning of the sentence, or at the middle of the sentence, or at the last of the sentence. Then, now we have to discuss about collective noun. So let me write at the top. So now we have to discuss about collective noun. Now we have to discuss about collective noun. What is a collective noun? Again, I told you, the name itself suggests what it is. Collective is the adjective form of collection, and you know collection. So collective noun means any name suggests to the collection of some things. But in this case, the collection of the things should have the same features. The things should have the same characteristics. What I mean to say is, collective noun is the name given to the collection of certain things having the same characteristics or features. What I told you, first let me write the definition, then we will discuss it. Collective noun means a name given to the collection of things, etc., having the same features or characteristics. What does it mean? I am telling you. Collection first. What is collection? Check here. Suppose collection of your members, Papa, Mama, you, your sister, and if your grandparents are there. The collection of such members, what we call? We call it as family. So family is a collective noun. Suppose you, when you were the student in class 10, do you think you were the only one taking the class 10 class? No. You along with some of your friends or many of your friends, they were there in the classroom. So you, Rahul, Harish, Prakash, Sita, Gita, Nita, some 40 boys and girls were there in that room, taking or learning from the teacher. And the collection of such students, what do we call it? We call it class. Class 10, class 9, class 8, etc. So the collection of students is class. The collection of members like Papa, Mama, etc. is a family. So family, class, these are the examples of collective noun. And what do we mean by having the same features or characteristics? Suppose this is 4 different houses are there, or 5 different houses are there in our village. I will take one father from here. I will take one mother from here. I will take one boy from here. I will take one girl from here. And I will take one grandpa here. And now I will make a collection of them. Do you think they will make a family? No. So having the same characteristics, here the same characteristics means no blood relation is there among them. That's why they cannot make a family. Even though Papa, Mama, brother, sister and grandpa is there, still then it is not a family. Family means here the common characteristic is blood relationship. So this one is the thing. So similarly, another example. So family will be there when there is blood relationship. Your papa, your mama, your brother, your sister, and your grandpa. They make the family. Similarly, class. Suppose I will take 5 boys. They are of 4th standard, and 6 girls. They are of 10th standard, and another 11 boys from 6th standard, and another 12 girls from 8th standard. And now it is a collection of some 2, 15, 16, 32 students. Now do you think the collection of was 32 students, they can make a class? No. They cannot make a class. Why? Because the girls and because here the students belong to different standards. They don't have the same features or characteristics. Having the same characteristics means 5 boys from class 4, 6 boys from class 4, again 11 boys from class 4, again 12 girls from class 4. Then now this collection will be a class. So this is the same characteristic. So the same characteristics should be there in the things that you collect so that one collective noun will be made. Herd is a collective noun. Herd of cattle we say. Bullock, cow, etc. etc. This is the herd of herd of cattle. We say flock of sheep. So flock can also be a collective noun. And similarly bouquet of flower. We say bouquet of flower. Bouquet of flowers. That means I will take one flower here with a stem. I will take one flower here, taking a stem. I will again take one flower here, taking with the stem. I will take another flower here, taking the stem. Now this collection is a bouquet, and it is a collective noun. It's okay. Now we have to discuss a little more about collective noun. You know, children. In class 10, when you were doing the exercises, when you were attempting the questions on grammar, collective nouns were taking singular verb and plural verb. Sometimes a collective noun was taking singular verb, the same collective noun was taking plural verb in next case. Then how to know whether the collective noun will take singular verb or plural verb? Then are they different? Are they called differently when it is taking or when a collective verb takes singular verb and when the same verb takes plural verb? Whether they are called by the same name or they have different names. Let me discuss. Collective nouns actually are of 2 types. What I want to say is, check here, suppose sometimes we were saying family is, and sometimes another sentence it was taking are. So family is daughters, is this what? We will take the example definitely. But don't you think in class 10 when we were doing some exercises, sometimes is was added to the family and are sometimes was added to family. So sometimes it is family is, sometimes it is family are. Sometimes it is committee is, sometimes it is committee are. Sometimes committee takes, sometimes committee are. When committee takes it is singular verb, when committee are it is plural verb. Then how to know whether the collective noun will take singular verb or plural verb? And when they are taking singular or plural verb, they are the same collective noun or they are called differently? Let me discuss now. Collective nouns are of 2 types. One is obviously collective noun that everyone knows, collective noun, and another is noun of multitude. Noun of multitude. Then what is collective noun and what is noun of multitude? Collective noun actually it takes the singular verb. Takes the singular verb. And let me write it here. I don't know whether it is visible to you or not. Say here. So collective nouns are of 2 types. One is collective noun that takes a singular verb. Singular verb, and another was noun of multitude that takes plural verb. That means when it is family is, if you say family is, it is collective noun, and if it is family are, it is noun of multitude. Then how to know whether it will be the collective noun, so that we will provide singular verb, and whether it is noun of multitude, so that we will provide plural verb. Let me discuss how to know whether a collective noun is a collective noun or noun of multitude. That is how to know if it is a collection of certain things, then whether singular verb will be supplied to it or plural verb will be supplied to it. Let me discuss. If the collection represents the total body, the unanimous one, the whole body, we are not referring to the members or the elements or the things that are there in the body. We are only referring to the body as a whole. Then it is collective noun, and in this case it will take singular verb. And if we are referring to the multitudes, if we are referring to the members, if we are referring to the elements that are there in the collection, then it is noun of multitude, and in this case we have to supply plural verb. Then how to know whether it is singular? That is whether it is collective noun or noun of multitude. The way I defined, perhaps you don't understand. We will take some examples, because you are not taking examples. This is the best way to discuss anything. So let me take some examples where I will show how a collective noun or how the collection sometimes represent the total body, and how the collection sometimes represent the members or the elements that are there in it. First we will take committee. The word we will take committee. Committee may be singular, may be plural. When it is singular, it is collective noun. When it is noun of multitude, it is plural, and hence it will take plural verb. Then how to know whether committee is collective noun or noun of multitude? Suppose in your village some committees may be there, a club is also a committee. Suppose in your village a club is there, and I am referring that club as a committee. Suppose in that committee some 50 members are there, and now a resolution is to be passed. That is, the members are now discussing about the paving of a road. A road is to be paved in the village, and the construction cost is suppose 15 lakh, and it is their option whether they will take the job or it will be handed over to a contractor. That's why now the members are discussing. Suppose 40 members went in favor of the motion and 10 members went against it. That means 40 members said yes, the committee will pass the road, and some 10 members went against it, saying that no, we should not interfere in it, let it be done by the contractor. Now what do you think? Suppose 40 members said yes, 10 members said no, whether the resolution will be passed or it will be discarded, whether the resolution will be passed or it will be rejected. Definitely it will be accepted, it will be passed or not. So now that means now the resolution is passed at 40-10 difference, because the majority of the majority of the members are going in favor of the motion. That's why now it will be accepted. So now this is the resolution and it has been passed, and here the president will put the signature. This signature is put on behalf of all the 50 members or on behalf of 40 members, because 10 members said no. Now when the president puts the signature here, this signature is on behalf of all the 50 members. Once the president put the signature passing the resolution, it will be considered that all the members said yes. Now all the members said yes. If any haphazard or mishappening happened, suppose any mishap happened and now arrest, that members were to be arrested, do you think only 40 members should be arrested and 10 members should be escaped? No. All the 50 members will be arrested, because here the president puts the signature on behalf of all the committee members. Once it is passed, it will be considered that all the members went in support of this resolution. This is the committee as the body. So if the sentence is the committee dares the resolution, and your option is pass or passes. You know, passes is the singular and pass is the plural. The verb is exactly the opposite of the noun or the subject. You know, nouns are very often the subject. In case of a noun, if you add s, it is plural, and if you drop s, it is singular. But in case of verb, if you add s, it is singular. If you drop s, it is plural. For example, a girl goes, some other part is there. Girls go, some other parts are there. Check here, a girl, it is singular because s is dropped. So verb takes s because it is singular. And here s is added means it is plural. So that the verb drops s, now it is plural. So pass is plural, passes is singular, and here the committee passes the resolution means the committee as the whole, as the body, now it passes. That's why singular verb will be supplied here. The committee passes the resolution. Here the committee is collective noun. But in the very same case, suppose another sentence is there having the same committee. The committee is discussing on the resolution. Here, the committee as the body cannot discuss. The members are discussing. Here in the process of discussion, no unanimity will be there. Some of them will be saying yes, some of them will be saying no. Some of them behave in such a way or discuss in one way, some others will discuss in another way. Confrontations definitely would be going on among them. That's why no unanimity is there. It is not here, the committee is not discussing as the body. Here the members are discussing, having some differences. That's why here committee is noun or multitude and it will take plural verb because we are discussing. Here the committee refers to the members who are there in this body, not the committee as the body. Here committee refers to the members who are there in committee who are discussing. So the members here are discussing, not the committee itself. So the committee will take plural verb and hence it will be the noun or multitude. It will be the noun of multitude. So here the committee is collective noun, here the committee is noun or multitude. Let me take another example. Suppose another example I will take family. Suppose the sentence is Das family dash there dash in that year level. In that yellow building. And there's in that yellow building. Before filling here, we should discuss the option is leave leaves. Leave and leaves. What we should supply? Remember, if it is a collective noun, then it will be singular in nature, so singular verb leaves will be supplied. If it is noun or multitude, it will be plural by nature, so leave plural verb will be supplied. Before supplying the verb, let me discuss a little. Dash family lives there, Das family lives there. I am telling you. Suppose I visited your village. You who are listening to me now. Suppose I visited your village. I asked you, hey, can you tell me where Das family? I am not using the verb here. Now I will tell you about the dwelling place of Das family. Now you will say, yes sir, at that yellow building. Actually, in the corner of the street, one or at the corner of the street, one yellow building is there. In that house, this family, that is the dwelling place of Das family. I will go there, and what I will see? Do you think I will meet all the family members there? Not that, no possibility of that. Not that all the family members should definitely be there. Visiting that house, I found that only Das Buddha is there. The old man is there because he had 3 children, 3 sons. All of them are grown up and they are living their married life, and they are settling elsewhere. Suggesting that means they are doing their job. One is at Bangalore, another was in Mumbai, another one is in Bhubaneswar. They are living there. Only temporarily or sometimes quite casually they come here, otherwise they are living there. And he had, Das Buddha had 2 daughters also, and these 2 daughters had also been married. Now Das Buddha had lost his wife some 3 years before. Only he is living there alone. Still then what you say? The dwelling place of Das family is that yellow building. So now this Das family suggests to the family as a whole, or family as the family members. Family as a whole. That's why even though Das Buddha is only settling there, still then you said that this is the dwelling place of Das family. So here Das family represents the collective noun. That means Das family is the collective noun. Why? Because it represents the body, the ancestral whole. That's why it will take singular verb lives. So Das family lives in that community. But suppose another thing. Suppose I ask one old man, he is sitting on the veranda of his house. I asked, sir, can you tell me about the dwelling place of Das family? And then that old man will smile a little and say, oh, Das family, oh, they are my students. Then suppose he said, Das family, that's my students. By saying so, suppose here the option is or are. If it is collective noun, then it will be easy. If it is noun or multiple, it will be are. Das family, that's my students. When that old man or old teacher suggests that Das family being his students, he is referring a few members or the ancestral whole, the way it represents. Not the ancestral whole, but a few members. Maybe Rambabu, and Rambabu was his student, then his 3 children were also his students. That's why he said so. So here Das family is not the ancestral whole, not the body, but a few members of that family. So here family represents some members, hence it is noun multitude, and the verb supplied here will be plural verb are. So in this case it is Das family lives in that building, but in this case it will be Das family are my students. I think collective noun I have discussed and perhaps you understood, and if you don't understand then write in the comment box. I will definitely entertain your proposal. I will definitely entertain your comment, and I will definitely teach again if you want me to teach again. Otherwise, why should I waste time here? So perhaps your doubt about collective noun and noun multitude is clear, perhaps. And if you don't understand, then listen this video again and again till you understood. And after that also, if you don't understand, ask me. Okay? Ask me over telephone. Then now collective noun. Then we have to discuss about first. So common noun, proper noun, collective noun, then material noun. Now we have to discuss about material noun. Material noun means the noun that are used as the material in the construction of something else. If any noun is the material in the process of the building or construction of some other thing, this is material noun. Suppose my body is made up of flesh, blood, bones. Here flesh, blood and bones are the material noun. This bottle is made of plastic, so plastic is material noun. This duster is made from tree, because wood is made from tree. So tree is a material noun here, or wood is a material noun. We never say from tree. We say that this tree is made of wood. Here wood is material noun. Suppose this board is made from ply. Ply is a material noun. that the wings of the fan is made from iron. So iron is the material noun. The necklace that your mother is wearing, the necklace is made of gold. Your gold is material noun. This shirt is made from cotton. Cotton is material noun. Your banyan is made of cotton. Made from cotton. Cotton is also material noun. Understood? The sari is made from silk. Silk is also material noun. And that molded chair is made from plastic substances. Here plastic substances are the material noun. So material noun means the noun that represents some material from which other thing is made. This is material noun. Like plastic, gold, that grill or your gate is made from iron. Iron is also material noun. So these are the material nouns. Then abstract noun. Abstract noun is something, abstract means that we cannot touch, we cannot see, we cannot give different shapes. Abstract means we can only feel. So abstract nouns means such nouns are not present here, we cannot see it, we cannot touch it, we cannot give different shapes to it, but we can feel it. So abstract nouns are not something the way we discussed about all other four nouns. Is a common noun, proper noun, collective noun or material noun. These nouns can be touched. These are called concrete nouns. These are called concrete nouns because you can see them, we can feel them, we can touch them, we can give different shapes to them. But here abstract noun is something that we can only feel, and they have been derived from different parts of speech. So abstract noun, wisdom is one abstract noun. Can you see my wisdom or can you see the wisdom of your papa? No. Can you see the intelligence of your friend? No, you can only feel it. So if any noun is derived from other parts of speech, it is also abstract noun. For example, take abstract noun can be derived from noun, verb, adjective, adverb. I am telling you here, suppose father. Father is a common noun. Child is also a common noun. And if we derive other noun from like fatherhood or motherhood or childhood, these nouns are the abstract nouns. You can see papa, you cannot see pitrutva. This is one quality. This is something that we can feel only. This is something you can see a child, you can beat a child, you can punish a child, you can reward a child, but you cannot see the childhood, you can only feel it. So, abstract nouns are the derivation of the nouns from other parts of speech. Similarly, so from the noun we can derive abstract nouns. Similarly, suppose teacher. Teacher is a common noun, and if we say teachership, it is an abstract noun. Teachership is an abstract noun. So from the nouns we can frame or we can derive abstract nouns. Then from verbs also we can derive abstract nouns. How? Suppose from verb. Let me from verbs how abstract nouns can be derived. Check here. Suppose from verb. See is a verb, and the noun form that can be derived from see is sight. So sight is the abstract noun. Similarly, laugh. Laugh is the verb, and now laughter. Laughter is one abstract noun. Similarly, suppose smile. Smile is a verb, and again the same smile is the abstract noun. This one is verb, this one is abstract noun. Similarly, growth is a verb, and growth is the abstract noun. Similarly, destruction is derived from destroy. So all such words are the abstract nouns being derived from the verbs. Now we will will discuss how abstract noun can be formed from adjectives. From adjectives. From adjectives. Suppose my papa is so wise or my teacher is so wise. Wise is the adjective. Adjective, you know, I have not discussed, but it has already been discussed in high school. Adjective means the word that qualifies the noun or adds something to the noun, adds some meaning to the noun, specifies the noun, tells something about the noun. This is adjective. My papa is wise or my teacher is wise. And wisdom. This is the abstract noun derived from the adjective. Similarly, if it is long adjective, then length is abstract noun. If it is broad, then breadth. If it is high, then height. Mark the difference. In this case, it is HIGH. In this case, it is HIGHT. Similarly, if someone is intelligent, intelligent is adjective because it describes the noun, but intelligence is abstract noun. So this. Similarly, suppose from adverbs. So from wise it is wisdom, from long it is length, from broad it is breadth, from wide it is width, from high it is height, from intelligent it is intelligence. Suppose from fluent it is fluency. So like this, suppose transform it is transformation. Similarly, suppose from speak it is speech. From speak it is speech. So these are the abstract nouns. Now we will discuss how abstract nouns are formed from adverbs. Actually, adverb and adjective nearly same, because suppose it is a hard surface. Hard is adjective. He is trying hard. It is adverb. That's why adjective and adverb is the very same way. Not that adjectives and adverbs are same. Adjectives are something different. Adverbs are something different. What they are and how they are different. When we will be discussing about that, I will tell you. Intelligent only. Adjective only describes the noun. When adverb describes any parts of speech other than the noun. Not that don't think that adverbs qualify only the verbs. Adverb may qualify adverb itself. Adverb may qualify adjective. Adverb may qualify a verb. So adverb is the qualifier of any parts of speech other than the noun, because noun qualifier is adjective. All other qualifiers are adverbs. So now I am to discuss about how abstract nouns are formed from adverb. Suppose he is trying hard. He is trying hard. Then hardness. This is the abstract noun. In this case, suppose quickly. He is trying quickly. Or he is running quickly. Then quickness. These are the abstract nouns. So we have discussed about abstract nouns and kinds of nouns. Nouns and kinds of nouns. Sir, ठीक है देखने के लिए टाइम नहीं चाहिए. Sir. So let me check the video actually, because if the video will be so longer, it will be so difficult to upload. It's okay. Sorry students, owing to the length of the video, I am compelled to stop here. In the next class, we will discuss about again. Actually, another part of noun is there, that is countable noun and uncountable noun. Let me come in the next class to discuss about countable nouns and uncountable nouns and other things that we have to discuss. So, thank you all for listening me. This much for today. Both.